Evening, fellow fellas. Money is all around you whether you recognize it or not. The room you're currently in, paid for with money. The device you're watching this video on, bought with money. And that beautiful smile that you're wearing every day you walk outside your house, priceless. But when you come to think of it, you may question, what actually is money? Money is basically just a medium that people all agree has some sort of monetary value that can be used to buy and sell other things. And while we today may know money as bills and coins in our pockets, or just a digital number that's going further and further down the closer you get to the end of the month, money has existed in many other weird and unique ways throughout history. The first weird currency we will be looking at today is cacao beans. Cacao beans were a very popular, widely used currency in pre-Columbian Mesoamerican societies, primarily in the society of the Aztec Empire. The reasons behind using cacao beans as a currency are the same reason why we use coins today, since they're very small, they're very durable, and everyone can just carry them around on their person. On top of all of this, the Aztec people also believed that the cacao beans were a sacred gift given to them by the god known as the Feathered Serpent, whose name looks like it was made by two Hollywood stars coming up with name ideas for their newborn child. Now, while cacao beans didn't have an exactly fixed exchange rate for how much they were worth, since quality could always vary, there were some things that you could buy for a certain amount of cacao beans, and they are the following. A pumpkin for 4 cacao beans, a small rabbit for 4 cacao beans, a turkey egg for 3 cacao beans, a turkey for 100 cacao beans, a large tomato or avocado for 1 cacao bean, and you could even buy a one-night stand with a prostitute for a total of 8 cacao beans. Now, I don't know what kind of screwed up economy they were living in, but I certainly could not go out and buy a prostitute today for 8 tomatoes. Now, while you could see the cacao bean as being the equivalent of today's coins, the Aztec Empire also used other currencies for other purchases. They also used another currency known as a quauqui, which was a long white cotton cloth that you could basically see as today's bills. Now, the Aztec Empire didn't believe that the quauquis were worth anything because they were sacred to them, but rather because that a quauqui actually represented a certain amount of work that was put into the length, the size, or even the color of the cloth. Now, quauquis were used for more expensive purchasing, where cacao beans just wouldn't suffice enough, and you could go out and buy, for example, a slave with quauquis, where if you wanted to buy a slave that knew how to dance, you would pay around 40 quauquis for it. Next weird currency on our list we will be looking at is actually playing cards. Playing cards were used as a currency in what was known as New France at the time, which was an overseas territory in Canada controlled by the French kingdom. You see, around the 1680s in New France, the economy was doing very shit, in the sense that the colony of New France was only exporting a couple of certain goods like beaver hides, but they were importing everything else from the mother country of France back in Europe, and they had to get all of these things across the sea. Now, what this meant was that the colony bought a whole bunch of more things than it could actually afford. For this reason, New France didn't actually have enough money to pay some of their people, like the soldiers, and for that reason, instead of waiting for more money deposits to come all the way from the other side of the earth, they just decided to begin printing money on playing cards. So in the year 1685, the new French government had finally printed their first playing card money and put them into circulation in the economy. Now, almost immediately, the soldiers as well as the merchants actually accepted these playing cards as a valuable currency. Now, problems, however, would soon arise, since around the 1690s, the new French government had apparently actually printed way too much of this playing card money compared to what it needed. So this meant in turn that inflation had finally kicked in, and at the same time, they were also dealing with battles with people who were counterfeiting these playing cards. I just want to state that if you were caught counterfeiting these playing card money, you could see a whole bunch of different sentences being put in front of you, where the most common ones were things like branding or caning, but you could also even be hanged to death for counterfeiting these cards. Now, in the year 1714, after many unsuccessful attempts to try and devalue the playing card money to battle inflation, the new French government had to decide that they just entirely removed the playing card money as a legal tender. So, since the government of New France had just removed one of their legal tenders, they tried to replace these playing card money with regular copper coins. However, this didn't work out entirely correctly, since there weren't that many copper coins in circulation at the time. So, the government of New France had to decide in the year 1722 to implement paper money as a new legal tender, where they took inspiration from when they were using playing cards earlier to make these new paper money. Now, the last currency we will be looking at on our list is actually cigarettes. Cigarettes were used as a commodity money pretty much across all prisoner of war camps throughout World War II, and the reason behind this was that pretty much everyone at the time smoked since it was seen as healthy and, most people were probably addicted to it, but it's also because there is not that big of a difference between one cigarette to another, so it was very easy to track the value of one cigarette. Now, prisoners of war got cigarettes from parcels sent out by the Red Cross during World War II, where an average person could be expected to receive around 50 cigarettes a week from one of their parcels. Now, since pretty much all the prisoners of war at the time decided that these cigarettes were actually valuable, you could buy pretty much anything for cigarettes, and this included things like a chocolate bar for 10 cigarettes, a tin of jam for 15 cigarettes. If you could find it, you could get a cup of sugar for around 30 cigarettes, a haircut from a fellow prisoner of war for around 3 cigarettes, a service or favor from a fellow prisoner of war like sewing a hole shut in your clothes or writing you a letter, 5 cigarettes, or a deck of cards for 50 cigarettes. Now, this entire cigarette economy also had its ups and downs, since around the end of the Second World War, there weren't that many parcels coming through from the Red Cross to the prisoner of wars, which meant that since people were getting less cigarettes, the prices of the average thing in cigarettes dropped drastically. So, to sum it all up, everyone needs money, everyone loves money, but they don't love money because they're greedy, they love money because it makes life easier. But I want you to remember something, that even though money controls this world, when you're going to die, the number on your bank account doesn't matter. That's not what's gonna make you die happy. What's gonna make you die happy is the memories you're going to die with. That being said, I gotta study for a test tomorrow, so I should probably get going.